There come many rare occasions in a man or a woman's life, and today is one of those days, occasions where you look back on it and go, wow, that really mattered. That was important. It changed my life. Well, today is one of those days. It's a day that you actually say thank you to Scopely. I know. I was shocked too. But we're going to talk about today how XP can finally be gained by mining with your ships. In fact, I'm celebrating. I've got every dock loaded out with a miner right now, and that was very painful to do. I'm not a big fan of that. But you're going to watch Deuce talk about mining, how it is important, and how now it can be leveling up your ships. Yes, should have happened 7 years ago, but not the point. I'm grateful for it now, and truly, thank you. Roll the beautiful bean footage.
Fancy intro music, yeah! Woohoo!
All right, so how does getting XP from mining work? Well, each node has their own pre-assigned value. And actually, before we get too deep into this, let me make one thing very clear. This video is not really gonna go over crewing. In fact, it's not gonna do that at all because the only mining crew I ever use is protected cargo. That is the only mining crew I use. There are others, and we will briefly hit on the fact that those exist. But again, this is all I use for mining. It's not really my forte. I'm not saying I don't know about it. It doesn't really excite me. So that's what you get from Rev when it comes to mining crews. Protected cargo. More protected cargo is more better, and that's for any situation. But as far as mining goes, each node is going to have a certain value, and then we'll apply that value, and the other bonuses can apply as well. But the main thing to know is that each node has a value. So for example, I'm currently sitting on a 5-star gas node right now. 5-star materials are going to pay me out a 0.441 rate. Yeah, it sounds super exciting. What that basically means, if we just take that number and multiply it by 10,000, then we would know exactly how much we're going to get mining that node, $4 grand. So how does that work on a greater scale? In fact, we made a pretty graphic for you. I'll put it on the screen right now. Pretty graphic. So mining ship XP, how it breaks down. Each node type has its own XP rate. Let's look at some examples. So 4-star has a 0.128 rate, meaning if you did 10,000 of that, you get 1,280. If you were doing 6-star or crystal gas, that is a much nicer 3.416, meaning you get 34,000 XP per every 10,000 mined. And again, reminder, these are base numbers as it says in the graphic. And then if you were to be mining Sigma Tritanium, which is the most lucrative of all, quite lucrative, you get 41.487 times 10,000, so 414,000 XP for mining only 10,000 Sigma Tritanium, though granted that obviously is going to take more time, and that's part of how this is balanced. Now, if you're looking for a what does everything do? Give me the full numbers, Rev. Good news for you, we have that in a spreadsheet. Yep, I actually contacted my good friend Quasel, and we put together a new spreadsheet specifically for this to talk about how mining works and how these XP bonuses apply, as well as do testing. Shout out to Quasel for doing all that. A couple other people I want to thank is Magu and also Lightbull. Shout out to those who helped put all this together so that y'all could see one of the more, in my opinion, we definitely agree, chat, that this should have been here in the very beginning. You should have been able to do this. In fact, like this video, if you believe that getting XP from mining should have existed when this game came out, I 100% agree with you. It's not really the point. The point is it's here now and how you can benefit from it, right? As we get our miners bigger and stronger, that's obviously leveling them up. We like that. Nobody likes to have a maxed out miner that's level 3, right? Whether it's for OCD reasons or actually usefulness reasons, we want to be able to take advantage of these mining rates and be better. That's point blank what it comes down to. And exactly how it works is exactly how it's sold. Now, I do want to point out that as we're doing some testing, other things that exist in the game like Picard Hue and other bonuses and favors do apply to this, making it to something that you can use as a beneficial tool to get even more XP, and even to the point where maybe if you don't want to auto grind hostiles, I know there are a few players out there who talk about, man, I absolutely hate auto grinding because you hit the hostile limit. I know that doesn't apply to most people who watch my channel, but for those that does, well, then maybe you say, hey, I'm willing to throw a ship out on a node, as in like a regular warship, simply for the sake of getting it some easy XP without it affecting my hostile limit. Now that's going to apply to the smallest portion of the game, but it is nice to have that option for all ships to get that in. Keep in mind, those things have like no mining lasers, so that would be the most paltry amounts, auto grinding would be much more beneficial. But you know what? People like options. And that's kind of the big thing here. People like the options. But that's the big thing. And as you can see, mining rates will adjust per item, but it's still quite good. I think that they are very fair based on the amount of time you're going to put in to be able to level these things up. And remember, as you're leveling things up, let's use an example on the screen. The Nova. Well, that Nova is G5 ship. So as you can imagine, it has G5 levels. And let's pop on over. So at 11 there, but that's tier 9. That's still 3 more tiers. And again, we're not even talking about a G6, like a Selkie or G7, which we know is on the horizon. Well, with that in mind, I can pop this off, get another, 250,000. You see the little level up marker, and we'll send that home real quick. And remember that in territory, you mine incredibly fast, meaning that 250,000 I just grabbed immediately became, XP. And then how much XP do you end up with? Well, we can just check that out real quick. Bam, went up a whole level. There we go. Needing millions is now something of a reasonable function. Now, real quick, because people are interested in this type of data, how does mining work? Well, mining works by putting things here and eating rocks. But how do you calculate mining rates? Real quick, give you the basic formula. And again, this is all in the spreadsheet in the pinned comment down below. I try to put all the spreadsheets, number 1 in the Discord, number 2 in the pinned comment, so that y'all can find it and have it as easy access. But mining rate is built on this formula. It's always been this way, and things kind of work inside the formula. If that changes, we'll update you and just adjust the formula. But you have A times, create your brackets there, then an inside bracket inside the bracket, B times C plus D. D is something that really only applies to unique situations. Finally, close the bracket. Then we're going to multiply that by E. That gets you how many rocks you're eating per hour and how many rocks you're eating per hour, thus helps you determine how much XP you're earning per hour. Yeah, don't worry. I know most people don't want to do the math, but I think it's still important for us to know how things work. So the basics. A is your node speed, so how fast the base mining rate is of a node. Varying nodes have different speeds. So for example, the G5 gas node in the background in territory mines much faster than early G5 gas nodes found in Federation space. So that's going to be part of your formula. B is going to be the mining laser of the, for example, Nova itself, or the Hydra, or the Beatty, or whatever it is, the Cavort, Antares, whatever you're mining with, that is going to be the mining laser. How fast we eat those rocks. C is the mining speed modifiers, such as research, officer abilities, etc., such as T'Pring having a gas ability. That would be in the C category. D is for ship ability, which is generally just the North Star. Very unique situation. But the North Star, remember, it modifies the mining speed based off officer stats, which is why it was the fastest 3-star miner in the game. Even though it has no real cargo hold, that was a unique touch it had. And last but not least, E is the special bonuses and abilities like Picard Hugh, the lucky mining favors, the strange new world T'Pring, brand new officer at the time of this video, her ability below decks. All of these will improve or adjust or magnify, however it ends up being, depending on what we're talking about, the actual rate in which you mine, thus allowing you to more appropriately or accurately calculate how much XP you're earning, but also how long it's going to take you to mine a certain thing. So for example, if we have one of these new events coming around that says you need to mine 10,000 common anomaly, and you can only mine like 50 common anomaly an hour, but then you can use these adjustments to figure out maybe I can mine faster than that, that'd be good. In this case, that common anomaly would be the mining bonus you get from the new building. Now, again, that's just me talking about the Flashpoint Part 1 arc here with Strange New Worlds, but using that as an example that applies to people today. So that's the basics of 1, how XP works, and 2, how mining works. Now you can calculate both of those amazing things. Isn't that exciting? Hope it is to you. I mean, it's pretty rare to get Rev to load out his docks and nothing but freaking miners. That doesn't happen very often. I'm not going to go tell them to all eat rocks, but I am very excited, truthfully, and I mean this genuinely, STFC. I will adamantly say, praise and confess. Should have been here years ago, but at the same time, that doesn't change the fact that I'm grateful that it's here now. So all players, if you weren't aware, why they didn't announce this in the patch notes, I do not know. In fact, I talked to multiple employees and said, how could y'all not have said this? But if you didn't know, now you know. Mining rocks, eating those darn things makes you happy. Just like Mr. Grishy in the picture behind me. That's Grishy, by the way. He's the Klingon miner up in G6 space, and he's a little bucktooth. He's very happy, and Lord knows he loves eating rocks. Most Klingons they get their honor by fighting. This guy, no, Mr. Grishy, he likes eating things like crystal. He's a big fan of eating crystal. So like the video if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell so you get notified every time I make some videos, and live long and plunder. Stay safe for those Space Cowboys. Deuce, that's me. Be excited that a positive quality of life feature has hit the game. I certainly am, and I will see you on the next one.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.